Welcome to the video. So today I'm going to show you how to have some good key bindings in Tarkov. I think WSD is bullshit and I think rats use it. So if you want to be a Chad, I think you should switch over to my key bindings. I use ESDF to start off with. I don't use no WSD. You just shift your fingers over to the right one. That's how I like it. I never had to learn WSD. Every single game I ever play, I immediately switch. Next thing I wanted to change is the tilting. I do not use the buttons next to your move forward to tilt. I use the two buttons on the side of your mouse here, on the side. So when it comes to your smooth tilt, I'll be holding caps and using the two buttons on the side. But to do that, you have to change your walk button, because by default, if you tap caps, that changes you to do a slow walk, right? So what I did there, let me find where that's at, is for walk, I changed that to double click. Okay. That way you can hold caps with other keys and you get so much more functionality out of that button, and you still get that functionality of clicking double tapping caps, so you can still do that. Let's go back up to the top here again. Firing still the same, but your aiming is a little bit different. I changed that to continuous. That's going to make this feel more like Call of Duty. By default, I'm pretty sure it's like toggle or press or something like that. Switch between sights, I have that as tab. I don't use tab for inventory. All my games, I use B for my inventory, as in backpack, which I'll get down to that later. But change scope magnification. I press this scroll wheel in to do that. That way I can quickly just zoom in and out when I'm like aiming down sight at somebody. My free look button is going to be A as an alpha. That one's when I'm sprinting around, I can quickly just tap that with my pinky and hold it. Turning on NVGs, I use Q. I do not have to have a key binding to enable VoIP, because if you double tap Y, you can enable it there, and once it's set, you kind of never really need to turn it on or off. Push to talk, I have that as H. Phrase menu, that's going to be default. That's going to be just Y. Same thing with all that stuff. For my laser, that's going to be W. To change the laser from like flashlight to flashlight and laser, etc., that's going to be holding control and W, or alt and W. I have both of them, that way I can just quickly do it whether I'm doing alt or control. Interact is going to be T. Grenade, so I changed grenade up a little bit. I did not want to accidentally throw a grenade, so I made that as continuous. So when you do throw a grenade, you have to hold it for like a second. And then reloading, I never really did the mechanic where you hold R and use your scroll wheel. So I changed it so when I reload, that's going to be continuous, just like I did the throw grenade. And then to do emergency reload, that's still the double tap R. And then for backpack, I also changed that to continuous as well. That way for these keys like reloading, grenades, and throwing bag, you have to hold it because I don't want to accidentally do it mid-combat. If you hold your caps button, R, and then the scroll wheel, that's how I kind of fix that to give the key bindings, but I never really even do it, so it's something that I don't really think of. And then check ammo, that's going to be Alt-R. Switch fire mode, I put that as K. I basically do not want to, like, I've watched Shroud videos in the past and he's always just checking single fire, checking full auto, like non-stop. I think that's kind of dumb, right? Because it gets irritating. So I set it way away from my other keys. That way when I do it right at the beginning of the raid, I don't keep pressing it. I kind of set it and forget it. These keys are kind of here. It's kind of up to you. I like just to control R, control T for some of these. I don't really pay attention for a lot of like taking the mag and checking chamber, things like that. But when you get a jam, that's one thing I did change a little bit. So if I'm holding control and I use these two buttons on the side of the mouse, one of them is going to be to look at the gun to inspect it, and the other is going to be to fix the jam. Looks like prone is the same. Shift, I did a little bit different thing here. So I have shift at two different spots. I have shift for my hold breath. I also have it for sprint. For sprint, I have that as press. So it's like I tap it and he's going to start sprinting. And then for my hold breath, that's going to be continuous. shift. Where did that go? Right down here. That way I can still feel like Call of Duty. I can be sprinting, but when I have a scope up and I hold shift, it's going to hold breath. Let me go back up here again. Blind fire. If I'm holding caps and I do my move forward button, that's going to be my blind fire. I can also hold alt and use the 2 side buttons as also different blind fire options as well. The hold left alt and the 2 mouse buttons are typically the ones I would use, but I don't do much blind fire. And then again with the caps, if I said with more functionality before, if I hold caps and I use my movement keys, that's going to do a side step left and right. And then inspect weapon, the default is L still, but that's where I have the hold control on the side mouse button. We'll hold alt and L is going to be to fold your gun and stuff. You never really do that in raid, or you could just look at your inventory and do it too. Melee weapon. So if I double tap V, it's going to pull up the melee. If I hold V, it's going to swing it. I think by default, I'm pretty sure that's reversed, but I do like it like this. And then my keys for like the numbers, like slot 1, 2, and 3 is all the same. Scope elevation up and down. So by default, it's page up and down, which is way out of the way. But when I'm aiming down sight and I hold caps lock, when I use my scroll wheel while holding caps, that's going to be changing the distance, like 50 meters, 100 meters, etc. And that's so much more convenient versus having a entirely different button way on the side. And then discard, I just added N as well. That way when I'm like in my inventory, I can just quickly spam N to drop different things I need to drop. Now I already went over hold breath. Icons toggle. The default is tilde. Oh, wait. I don't even know what that one is. I thought council, the default is tilde. I put it as equals. Icons toggle I never even used, but I guess it's I. But yeah, that's kind of my key bindings here. And if you like them, let me know. I know they're definitely different. I've used ESDF my whole life. Only know a handful of other people that do it. But the people who do use it, they really do enjoy it. So let me know if you're going to be willing to try them.